So for years I used to wonder, why is it when people are in an abusive relationship they can never leave? And after years of studying criminal behaviors, I've come to realize that there are times where they're not able to. There are times by leaving their abuser they could have a happy ending, but there are times that even trying to leave can end deadly. So that's the outcome of today's true crime story. So if you like true crime stories with a little bit of a laid back educational vibe, go ahead and sit back and relax and enjoy today's story. And I'm going ahead and let you know this now. Viewer discretion is advised. So our story takes place in Lincoln, England, where a couple, Hannah Bramley and Nicholas Metson, had met each other back in 2016. And like all relationships, they had their ups and downs, but slowly people started realizing that Nicholas had more of an abusive streak to him. And the abuse would start to get worse once they got married back in 2021, because once they were married, his abuse would go into full throttle, where for 16 months, he would alienate Holly from all her family members and friends, to a point where she no longer had a safety net, and the only person that she could depend on was Nicholas. Now, one thing about Nicholas is that he suffered from autism. Now, people who may suffer from autism can commit criminal acts, which can only be carried out in either a bizarre or idiosyncratic way. Some of the things that they may carry out will be physical assaults as well as SA, stalking and harassment, theft and burglary, vandalism and arson, murder and attempted murder, as well as attacks on family members. Now, some of these acts may be triggered by an invasion of personal space or deliberate or unintentional touching, especially those that are tactile hypersensitive, a disruption of routine or activities, a misinterpretation of one's statement or activities, such as you may say or do something to them that they may take as an insult, an unempathetic satisfaction of needs, such as they may SA somebody thinking in their mind that it's okay. But in some cases, their motives can be the same as any other regular person, which could be out of jealousy or revenge. Now, some of you may be wondering, why didn't she just leave when the abuse had gotten worse? And the thing was, she did try to leave several times. But with Holly, she was a pet lover, and the one thing she couldn't leave was her pets behind. Because Holly had rabbits, hamsters, and a dog. Because at one point, Holly had tried to leave the house with her pet rabbits to go seek help from police. But before she even got to the police station, Nicholas had took her pet hamsters and put one of them in the blender and the other one in the microwave, in which she had unalived both of them. And another time she had tried to leave, she had a brand new puppy, in which what Nicholas did was he took her puppy, stuck it in the washing machine, and turned it on. Holly would find her dog and spin the washing machine on the spin cycle. But after a while, Holly had just had enough of his abuse, so she decided she was going to leave him once and for all. So on March 17th of 2023, Holly had went ahead and told Nicholas that she was planning on leaving him and going back to her family members. Now, Nick, he would try to convince Holly to stay because he felt that they needed one another, but Holly felt like she had enough of his abuse. So Holly would pack up her belongings and just leave the house. Now, a couple days after leaving the house, Holly's family members and friends were starting to get worried because they felt that her behavior was a little bizarre. The reason why they felt that she was acting bizarre because in her text messages and social media posts, she would say that she felt that she had mistreated Nicholas and that she felt that she should go back to him. And they felt that this was weird because all she talked about was just leaving him behind. So out of fear that she may be suffering from a mental health crisis, they'll go ahead and notify law enforcement and go ahead and do a welfare check on her. So on March 24th of 2023, police would arrive at their residence, in which they would knock on the door, in which Nicholas would answer that door. They would ask him if Holly was home, which he replied with no, because she had left with some mental health support group. He would even joke saying that maybe she's hiding under the bed. Nicholas would tell them that he was a victim of domestic abuse and would show them a bite mark that he had on his arm, saying that Holly had bit him. However, the police was not buying this story because when Nicholas opened the door, the smell of ammonia and bleach had came from inside the house. And like most officers would tell you, if they smell ammonia or bleach come from your residence, that means you're trying to hide something from them. So the police would enter the residence saying they need to take a look around and make sure everything is all right. And upon entering the residence, they found a bunch of stains around the house. Now, due to guideline regulation, I can't say exactly what the stains were, so let's go ahead and call it red Kool-Aid. Now, they would find Kool-Aid stains in both the kitchen, the bathroom, and in the bedroom. And later on, they would find out after being tested, the Kool-Aid belonged to Holly. Now, police would then arrest Nicholas for the disappearance of his wife. Now, the very next day, on March 25th of 2023, a person was walking along the river with them, which is outside the village of Basingham. While walking along the river, this person would find several bags along the riverbanks, and upon searching the bags, he found a gruesome discovery because inside the bags were human body parts. And upon this discovery, this person would go ahead and notify law enforcement and let them know that they have found body parts along the river. Now, police will search up and down this river, even have a diving team go ahead and search the bottom of the river as well too. Once police have removed the bags out the river, they would go to the contents of these bags, and where they discover over 224 different body parts from these bags, which all belong to the same person. Now, while Nicholas was being held in jail, he would deny unaliving his wife for a whole year. And it wasn't until early of 2024 when he finally confessed at the Lincoln Crown Court what he actually did to his wife. Nicholas would go ahead and say that on the night of March 17th of 2023, he would ask Holly to come by the house so that way they can talk about their marriage. Nicholas didn't want his marriage to end, but Holly was just tired of the abuse. So even though he was trying to reconcile his marriage, Holly was like, I had enough and I'm going home to my parents. Now, Nicholas, he didn't like that response, and so it threw him into a bit of rage. So as Holly was trying to leave out the house, Nick would go ahead and put her in a headlock. Now, once Nick had put Holly in the headlock, Holly would go ahead and bite him on his arm in an attempt to try to escape from him, which was where the bite mark on his arm came from. Now, being even more enraged at the fact that Holly had bit him, he would go into the kitchen, grab a knife, and stab Holly several times. Now, once he was sure that Holly was unalive, he would drag her body from the bedroom to the bathroom, place her body in a bathtub, and start to dismember her body. He would then place each individual piece in plastic bags, in which he would then hide them inside his own house. After a few days, he would then call his friend Joshua Hancock, who also suffered on the spectrum. He would ask him to come over to do him a favor, and when Joshua got to his residence, that's when Nicholas would go ahead and tell him everything that he had did. Nicholas would then follow up by asking him if he can help him hide the remains. Now, Joshua, he was reluctant of doing this, but then Nicholas had sweetened the pot by saying, I would pay you 100 pounds to help me get rid of this body. I'll be honest, that is not a lot of money to risk my freedom over. But Joshua will go ahead and agree, in which he will go ahead and take all the body parts and dump them in the river. Now, during the time period they was getting rid of the body, records were showed that Nicholas was going inside Holly's bank account and taking money out of it. Nicholas even has some weird internet searches, where one of his searches was, what benefits would I get if my wife had died, as well as, can someone haunt me after they died? Now, when asked why he would do something like this, Nicholas couldn't give an answer to why he would do this. But the judge would go on to say that he feels that the motives behind all this was because of money. Now, one thing they have found out that Nicholas has a history of abusive relationships, because he would be arrested in 2013, 2016, and 2017 for abuse. Nicholas' lawyer would try to convince the courts that his autism played a factor in the murder. However, the judge wasn't buying that, because he would tell Nicholas that the amount of body parts wasn't necessary to remove Holly from the house, and that his actions was not excusable because he's autistic. Now, during an impact statement, Holly family members would say that they remember Holly as a beautiful, caring, innocent soul who had kindness and warmth that affected everybody that she met. But sadly, after meeting the man that took her life, was just the beginning of a rocky road for Holly when she embarked on a life of domestic abuse. But what saddened them the most, that despite the fact that they tried to get her out of that lifestyle, they was not able to succeed with. So the family is urging anybody that is living in a domestic abuse should seek support. And they will hope that Holly's death would highlight that domestic abuse is not okay. Nicholas Metson will be given a minimum sentence of 19 years and 316 days. And Joshua Hancock, who helped dispose of the body, was given 3 years and 3 months in prison. Now, some of you may be wondering why they get so little time for what they did. And the reason why, European prison systems and American prison systems are completely different. Because in a European prison system, they focus on rehabilitation, where in the United States, they prioritize punishment and public safety. An example of that would be the Norway prison system, which is renowned for being the most effective and humane in the world. Norway even has the lowest recidivism rate in the world as well, in which their reconviction rate is at 18% within 2 years. And they have a recidivism rate of 25% after 5 years. Where in America, we have the highest recidivism rate in the world. Where in the first year of being released from prison, there's a 43% chance of them being rearrested. After 3 years, it jumps to 68%. At 5 years, it's 79%. And at 10 years, it's at 82%. And the reason why we have the highest reconviction rate is mostly due to lack of education, lack of housing and employment, substance abuse and mental health issues, technical violations such as not checking in with the parole officers, and lack of resources for integration back into the community. So that concludes for today's story. So what do you think? Do you feel that Nicholas can be rehabilitated, or you think that he will continue on his abusive streak? Go ahead and leave a comment down below. And for more true crime stories like this, go ahead and stay tuned for more stories to come.